Well, what we like to say is people often ask me, what's it going to be like having 200 of those people living together? And my response is always, it's going to be a lot like your family. And people look at me and their eyes get as big as saucers, and I go, yes, humans are messy. And so why should we expect anything other than the messiness when humans tend to get together? But, beyond that piece of it, we have seen nothing short of miracles occur. We see people healing from the ravages of living on the streets. We see their consumption of alcohol and illicit drugs drop dramatically, not go away, but drop dramatically. We see their diet improve tremendously because they're eating organic food that's produced off the farm here. Not 100%. Is their diet relying on what we produce, but they're coming out of their homes because they're not isolated inside their homes, and they're getting more exercise, and it's just a win-win situation. But with that, if you have somebody that battles addictions or mental health issues, comes the grittiness and the messiness of dealing with those kinds of things. And it's, in a way, it's quite beautiful as opposed to the way that Hollywood makes people like that into something that we want to avoid.
Can we talk about the logistics of it? There are obviously costs attached to providing this kind of community, and you do charge people to be there, but it's a very low charge. How does that work, and where do they get the money from?
Well, by definition, a chronically homeless individual here in the States is also a disabled individual, and so they're eligible to receive what we call supplemental security income or supplemental security disability income. And that amounts to about $700 a month. So our first line of defense is to create that type of income for them. Secondly, we have created a number of little micro businesses on site. We have an outdoor movie theater. We have a concession operation associated with that. We have a hamburger cooking Airstream here. We have an art house for those that come out of the creative spectrum. We have a blacksmithing shop, a wood shop. We have an organic farm. We have mobile vending where you can go into out into the streets of downtown Austin and sell products. So we try to create a number of different avenues for people who just can't seem to find a way to work 40 hours a week. That's just not their characteristic. And they're not going to be successful at that. So how do we create entrepreneurial micro businesses that allow them to earn a modest living income?
Gosh, this is really exciting, isn't it? And this is about you saying, as a community, we have a responsibility to care for people who aren't well able to care for themselves. So you're saying the buck stops with us. Does this excuse government, though? Does this say to government, you're off the hook now, we're going to take care of it at a community level? Isn't responsibility across all stratas of society?
I think it is across all stratas of society, but I think that it first begins in the family. And if the family can't do it and doesn't have the competence to do it, then it's up to the cliched village to care for its own. And we think that what we have done here in America particularly is we've abdicated that responsibility. And really, it's an opportunity, not so much a responsibility, to the government to do that. And so the government has become overwhelmed in that area because there's so many forces competing for the government resources, and it becomes so politicized. And so what we say is that in Austin, Texas, it's up to you and I as Austin Texans to go and mitigate what we see on our street corners. And let's relieve our government to be able to go do other bigger things that they should do. But look, John, we need them as a partner. There's laws and policies and regulations and things that they can help us with that will make this an even easier process.
I hear that you've been getting visitors from throughout the world coming to look at your model, to sort of study it and see what they can learn from it, including from New Zealand. Is that right?
That's correct. Yeah.
In terms of your hopes, I guess, when you set this community up, has it been a success?
Better, actually, John, than I imagined. I probably went into this 12 years ago with not dissimilar stereotypes about what can be done, and now I'm walking away just looking at what it really means for people to be in an environment where they are settled, where they want to live, one that allows them to cultivate with the gifts that God has given each of them. So if you're an artist, let's go be an artist. And then when people are settled in cultivating, they begin to care, for people and things outside of their own selves. If you look at a homeless person on the streets of Austin or New Zealand, the only thing that they can think about is, where am I going to get my next meal? Where am I going to lay down tonight? Et cetera, et cetera. And that doesn't leave a lot of room for caring about other people.
And when you see somebody who came in to your community suspicious, damaged, unable to cope, suddenly find a home and a sense of self-esteem and a sense of possibility, what is that transformation like? How moving is that?
Well, it's moving for us. I got to tell you, it does take time because our friends from the streets are suspicious of stability. They've been promised a lot and delivered, and had very little delivered. So it takes them a while to realize, wow, this is permanent. This is my home. But boy, watching that, it's like a rheostat on the wall. When you turn the knob, it just clicks the light on, and as the knob continues to rotate, the light becomes brighter and brighter and brighter. And that's what we see out here with the men and women, is that light just becomes brighter, 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 brighter.